What's up, guys? Brian here, and welcome back to the podcast. I hope everybody's having a fantastic week so far. I'm gearing up to go back to Nashville to visit my family, network with a couple of private money lenders while I'm there, check on a couple of rehabs, and mostly just visit with family and friends. I'm really looking forward to it. Always love going back to Nashville. So anyways, today I want to talk about an asset that is arguably the most important thing for an entrepreneur to have. So when I first got started as an entrepreneur, I never wrote down anything like a vision for my business or anything like that. I was always kind of just flying by the seat of my pants, and I would get an idea, right? And then say, oh, we've got to do this. We've got to implement this in our business. It's going to explode everything and make everything amazing. And so I would implement it. And then once it was up and running, I'd go listen to another podcast or I'd read another book and I'd get another amazing idea, right? And I come back and say, now we got to implement this and get that up and running. Sometimes I didn't fully implement the ideas even that I wanted to. I would just literally get about halfway done implementing it and kind of get bored with it or whatever. And then I would implement yet another idea, okay? I don't know if you guys have ever heard of this, but it's called Shiny Object Syndrome, SOS, Shiny Object Syndrome. It's basically where you are one of those people who I don't know if you've met people, just to use the real estate industry, for example. One week you talk to them and they went to a self-storage seminar and they're going to get into the self-storage investing business. And then you meet them for coffee literally one week later, and now they're going to do fix and flip. And then a week after that, they're going to start wholesaling. And then a week after that, they're going to start a property management business or something like that. That's Shiny Object Syndrome to the nth degree, basically. And a lot of people have this, right? Because ideas are exciting. You have to realize what happens when you get a new idea, when you come across something new and exciting, a new opportunity. When you find out about it, basically what happens is you have an emotional response in your body. The new idea makes you feel good. It makes you excited, okay? Anything you're excited about, you're going to favor, and you're going to, when you place that against what you've been doing, which is not going to be quite as exciting because it's been around for a little longer or whatever, the exciting thing's usually going to win out. And so you try to wedge it into what you're already doing, or you change what you're already doing for this new thing. And that goes on forever and ever and ever. And in the first, handful of years of our business, basically, I was the wacky visionary of the company who always had new ideas. I thought all my ideas were genius, and I thought they were all going to just explode the business and everything was going to be amazing. What it really did was it caused a lot of confusion in the company and a real lack of direction. What I didn't realize was that when you have an idea, and as the CEO of a company, you start to talk about it to your team, they all react to your idea. They're forced to react because you're the captain of the ship. You're kind of telling everyone where the ship's going. And if they've all been rowing in one direction and you come up with a new idea that causes a shift in the the degree that you're traveling, then everybody has to kind of hit the brakes, adjust their angle, and row in a slightly different or completely different direction based upon your decision. So for one, it's really impactful if you have a team in a negative way to always be changing direction, changing ideas. Another reason why it's bad is that you just don't get anything done. Imagine like getting in your car and you don't put any address in your GPS, which that would be like having a vision that you're going to stick to, right? But let's say you didn't put an address in your GPS. Instead, you just drove around, and you drove for, an hour in one direction, and then you just turned the car into another random direction. You drove in that direction for 45 minutes. Then you made another random turn, and you drove in that direction for 2 hours. You're never really going to get anywhere. You're kind of just going back and forth all over the place with no clear destination in mind. And that's actually how a lot of entrepreneurs are existing. It's probably one of the biggest reasons that small businesses fail is because of a lack of focus. I was in a mastermind group called Collective Genius for about 4 years. It's one of the best mastermind groups for real estate investors in the country. I met lots of really badass dudes in there that had 300 rental properties and some of the biggest names in the education space, and and guys who were doing 300 flips at a year. One guy in the group was doing 100 at a time. I mean, these guys were on a whole different level. And anyways, the guy that runs that company, his name is Jason Medley. He's a former real estate investor, and now he runs a mastermind, one of the smartest and coolest guys I know. And Jason always has this one quote that he says, and it's basically, focus will make you rich. And he talks about how everything in his life changed from when he went from doing 10 things marginally to 1 or 2 things exceptionally. And for me, the exact same thing happened as well. It wasn't until we finally found a business coach that looked at what we were doing and realized how dysfunctional my way of being was in our company, and said, Brian, this is not going to work for you anymore. You have to define where you're going. You have to craft a vision for your business that's going to get you there. And lastly, and most importantly, you have to stick with it. You can't change it every 2 weeks, or otherwise there's no point in even having a vision. Like, it's like you're not going to take it seriously if you like literally delete it and rewrite it every 2 weeks or every month or whatever. You have to pick a time period that you're going to agree to commit to something. And that at first really bothered me because if I'm being honest, I'm a pretty non-committal person. I dated my girlfriend for 9 years before I proposed to her, even though she's perfect in every way, and there's no reason why I waited other than I'm a weirdo who's non-committal, right? So it was tough for me to commit to even 1 year out, to being like, damn, okay, for the next year, this is all we're going to do, right? We're not going to change this or whatever. It was really hard, guys. But when we shifted to doing it that way, to committing and sticking with something, that's when we really started to get much, much better results in our business. And honestly, as I'm talking about this, I realized that before I got into real estate, I was trying tons of different stuff all over the place, tons of different jobs, stupid entrepreneurial things that failed or whatever. And I never stuck with anything. And I remember when I got into real estate, I said, I'm actually going to give this a try. I'm going to do this for 5 years before I give up on it. And it was because I was so frustrated by all the failures that came from me starting and stopping things halfway through. I said, I'm actually going to see what I'm capable of. If I actually stick to something, let's see what happens here. And then real estate became by far the most successful thing I had ever done. Even though I wasn't really quite doing it right, the fact, just first and foremost, that I stuck with one endeavor, one industry, one niche already, 10x any results I had ever gotten previously. But to 10x the results again within that industry, within that business of real estate, you have to be focused on a clear outcome. My former business partner actually got to see Darren Hardy speak not too long ago. And he's the guy who wrote The Compound Effect. He's the founder of Success Magazine. Super sharp guy. You should really read that book, by the way, The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. And he basically in his speech just talked about how focus is the new commodity. It's like everybody's distracted, right? Especially with social media and smartphones and email and all that stuff. So the ones who are going to succeed in this new age are the ones who can be focused. If you have focus, then you have a commodity that 99% of other people don't have, and it's going to give you an extreme competitive advantage. So I want to leave you guys with a bit of a takeaway from this. What do I do, Brian? What do I do to get focused? Well, first of all, you should have written down what you're going to accomplish at a minimum over the next 3 months, okay? Just to commit to 90 days for me. Not only are you going to write it down, but you're also not going to change it for 90 days, despite any new incoming information that might happen, okay? You're going to have ideas. You have to create another part of that document called the parking lot. And anytime you get excited about a new idea, you open up your vision document, scroll down to the parking lot, type your amazing idea into that parking lot so that you have it recorded. You won't forget about it. And then when you draft the next 90-day vision, it can be considered to be added to that. I can't tell you how many times I've been excited about an idea. I add it to the parking lot. And then 90 days from now, I go back and I'm like, man, that wasn't really that great of an idea. That actually happens more often than it actually becomes an idea that makes it into the vision. So you got to write down what you're going to accomplish in your business in the next 90 days and stick to it for 90 days. Okay. The second part of that's the most important. And then if you can do this, this really will not only make you more productive, but happier in your workday, is actually bring a huge degree of focus into the way that you work each day. So this is another thing that my business partner told me Darren Hardy talked about in that presentation, which is if you can carve out 2 to 3 hours every day to focus on just one thing, then you will just 10x the results that you're getting from your time and your work more than any other thing you can do. So imagine if you did that. Imagine if Monday you spent 3 hours with no phone, no email, no Facebook, just working on projects that were going to get complete your vision for that quarter. And then what if Tuesday you spent 3 hours just doing nothing but making important phone calls that you needed to make? What if Wednesday you spent you spent 3 hours doing nothing but creating content, writing videos, whatever you need to do to grow your business. I have an education business, so creating content is important for me. And then what if Thursday you spent the entire day looking at deals, making offers on deals? And then what if Friday was maybe your day where you did catch up and you spent 3 hours doing nothing but checking email, Facebook, paying bills, crap like that or whatever? So did you notice that, we're talking about batching things, first of all, by type of activity. That's really important. If you have stuff that you need to do when it's quiet and you have no distractions, you do all that on one day. If you have all this like phone call type work to do, batch that all on one day. Like all my phone stuff happens on Tuesdays or Thursday mornings, and then that's it. Like if you can't book a time with me to talk on one of those days, you're gonna on this week, you're gonna have to do it next week, because I'm not gonna talk to you on a Monday on the phone, because that's my day to work on the vision for my business, right? To knock out big projects. And on those days, I know when I wake up, I'm just gonna make some coffee and sit down and not be distracted and destroy all these obstacles in the way towards achieving my vision. So time blocking in big time blocks is another way that focus will just make you way more productive. And it also makes me a lot happier, because when I'm not constantly switching back and forth between all this stuff each day, I'm a lot happier. It sucks. Like, be honest, guys, doesn't it suck when you sit down to work at 9 and you check your email and you're like, oh crap, I gotta, do some paperwork. And then you're done with that by 9:30. And then you check Facebook and then, let me reply to this guy's comment real quick. And then 10 o'clock, you're like, all right, I got to get down to business and really get something done here. And then your phone rings 15 minutes into that and you answer it. And, oh, it's an important call. I got to talk to this guy. And then you get back to your vision. Oh, where was I? I don't know. Let me check my email again because that's easier. Oh, crap, more fires to put out. That's a terrible way to work, okay? That's like beginner level. You don't want to be there. You have to get out of that rut. So I really recommend like looking at the activities that you need to do to be successful and batch them by type of activity. If you can do these two things, if you can craft a vision for your business at least 90 days out, stick to it for those 90 days, and then time block your days of the week where you have 2 to 3 hours of insane focus on just one thing per day, one subject, right? So you need to divide what you need to do into 4 or 5 areas and then have one of them per day. It's like today is my blank day. Thursday is my blank day. You should be able to say that. It makes everything a lot better, guys. So I hope that helps. If you guys have a question you want me to answer on any episode, you can email me, brian@brianelwood.net. And I really appreciate you guys listening. Let me know what other topics you'd like me to cover on this podcast, and I will see you then. Later.